All right, yes, good evening. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. And right now it's time for us to do another critical look at the manifesto of a gubernatorial candidate in Lagos State. Interestingly, today we are going to be reviewing the manifesto of the incumbent, that is the governor of Lagos State, SANWOLU. And we're going to be digging deep into, the themes agenda. In the past 2 days, we had the gubernatorial candidate of the ADC, African Democratic Congress. And then after that, we also had the we also went through the manifesto of the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate, Gbadebo Vivo Roads. All right. And today it's time for us to dig deep into Babajide Sanwo-Olu's themes agenda. I hope that we all remember, the themes agenda just some years or so ago, when in a series of television interviews and special events, he actually unveiled the themes agenda, his 5 pillars of development agenda for a greater Lagos. Using that as his 5 pillars of development. We're looking at themes as traffic management and transport. H stands for health and environment. E, education and technology. M, making Lagos a 21st century economy. And E, entertainment and tourism. So it's been an interesting one. Let's not forget that Sanwo-Olu is or was a 3-time Lagos commissioner with so many, with so many achievements under his belt, so many transformational initiatives under his belt, such as the private sector-led Lagos State Security Trust Fund, the Lagos State Pension Commission, and the Lagos Bus Management, amongst others. But today is not time to dig deep into the gubernatorial candidate himself. We're going to be reviewing his manifesto. Because he's running for second term, there hasn't been any fresh, look into the themes agenda. So I'm sure that they're going to be running on that same themes agenda for if he actually clinches the seat for the second term.
Okay, I just think it's safe to say that we're just reviewing the achievements of the themes agenda, and then probably we are also now trying to create what we call maybe a direction, or from the research that has been done, to create a direction for what the themes agenda should be looking at next 4 years.
All right, so yes, my name is Omobola Sandra, and that was Deji Akinpelu, the one behind all of this conversation.
I'm not
part of
Deji Akinpelu is the co-founder of Rethinking Cities, and
I just had to put that there. It was very necessary. All right, and then also, of course, our own political pundit here at Mila 98.3 FM, Okoyemi Akiyode, also on the table this evening. And we also have with us via the phone line
Dr. Damilola Agbalajobi,
all right,
who had done some of the research, some of the review on the team's agenda of Governor Sanwo-Olu.
Good evening, Dr. Damilola.
Good evening.
All right, so there we have it. 4 on the table. We have it's a 5-pillar thing. So just
it's actually is called theme, but later on S was added, which now became themes. You don't have that. It was even later in the life of I think when the administration was about to start, that S was added, which was security. Yeah, but security was already embedded in some area there. But we can do with the theme.
All right. So of course, just as we said, or just as we have been, just as antecedents have shown, we're going to be looking at it, with using the SWOT analysis, looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats, and also the ones that have been done, and so far, what exactly we should also, the ones that have been done, looking at it if it has actually been able to do what it was supposed to do, basically. Yes. All right, so yes, we'll start with the first one, of course, which the T there stands for traffic management and transportation.
Maybe we should hear Dr. Agbalajobi first, since she worked on this, and she should just give us a quick overview of what she has in that space.
All right, so over to you, Dr. Damilola. The first one, traffic management and transportation. So there's a lot, that the had in place their plan to integrate roads, rail, and water transportation, solving the problem of commuting within Lagos, fixing bad roads, expanding road infrastructure. What are your thoughts?
Okay, thank you very much. So looking at traffic management and transportation, SANWOLU was able, the government of SANWOLU was able to achieve building blue and red lines, the nine completion. We have the rehabilitation of inner city roads in Lagos, in local council development areas. And then we have some BRT lane commission in Oshodi Abule Agri. We also have 16 justice terminal constructed and rehabilitated. We have about 500 miles buses procured. And then we have some promotion of private investment like Danko Skills and Apple. That's for me the trend. Now look at the weaknesses. There are no alternative means to avoid traffic congestion. And so these actually create more gridlock. And so there is also no holistic focus on traffic management, which is very important. And the issue of affordability is very key. Will the people be able to afford this? Especially the jet fees, will it not end up with the enemy? And then looking at the fact that there is no attention to the 5,000 capacity trailer park that was mentioned in the traffic management agenda. Yes. And then we have 60 major traffic gridlock points that is still unresolved around Lagos State. And Apapa is a case in point there. And then the fact that the partner with NPA to avoid traffic trailers block was not still satisfactory, which is the problem. And so we still don't have a visible date on the completion of Lagos Apapa Road collaboration with the federal government. And so there also a need to roll out of more vehicles for commercial use, because you know that most of vehicles have been banned in major highways around Lagos. And so this is actually creating more, further aggravating traffic congestion. So that's the weaknesses. Let's look at the opportunities here. I think there's this of transportation, especially with the completion of the Apapa Road, and then kind of improve the living condition of the citizens if this is done well. And then it's smart movement saver, brings about ease in business transaction, ease in congestion on the road, if these things are done. So that's the opportunity that we can actually bring about. And so it also engender the expansion of roads, rail, and water transportation, which will go a long way to reduce the gridlock on major highways. And of course, we end up increasing the IGL for Lagos State. It's really to fully actualized. And then the red and blue rail will transform the economy of the state when completed. So what are the threats? We have some local peculiarities that are still being ignored. And the fact that people are actually trained, sensitized for this mode of transportation that we are talking about, especially the jetties, and the people who know what it takes, that people train, those who are going to be in charge. And then we have so many unfulfilled promises still need to be done. And then also we have this increasing cost of living for the people. And of course, one of the other things is persistence of traffic issues. This things still need to be looked at. So those are the threats. And then the third summary of the traffic management and certification. That's the first thing.
Interesting.
Yes, it's a good one that you've been able to cover it all: the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. But Okwemi, if we're to dig deep into looking at the many action plans that they had put in place as regards transportation, traffic, and all of that. So far, also looking at what Dr. Damilola has also put forward as regards the weaknesses and the threats of that particular agenda. So far, what would you say?
Well, I think it's pretty much easier because this is an attempt for continuity. I mean, just like he's been in office as against the other manifestos that we've reviewed in the last couple of days on this show. So it's almost like saying you want to score yourself. In doing that, still open more opportunities to improve. So I'm going to focus more on the weaknesses. That means, you look at most of the things that you promised us in the last campaign period. Which of these things have you been able to achieve? I remember vividly that one of the biggest promises of Governor SANWOLU then was to bring some sanity to that Apapa axis, the gridlock is something else. And I mean, you still read the papers, you have something to take you to that axis, and before you leave your house, you're already thinking of alternative routes so that you don't get caught up in that mess that is going on there. So I think for me, it's always going to be like that. But there's one particular one, especially still talking about traffic. Now, you said some road rehabilitation across the state, LCDAs, LG and LGAs and all of that. How much do we think that this administration is ready to embrace the expansion that we are looking forward to in Lagos, whether we like it or not? Traffic is a problem. I remember there was a time we had the former DJ of Last Man join in one of my shows, and he said that as long as people keep using, their cars in Lagos, it's going to be difficult. So maybe the government needs to focus more on creating alternative routes and making sure that
modes.
Exactly, making sure that people are interested in public transport system. I mean, even we know that the trains will not be able to go to the interlinks. It's going to be dedicated lines. But what about the other side? You see a family that have 4 cars. The father is going out in the morning, he puts his car on the road. The mother is going to work. Their children are going to school. They use 2 cars. So a family is already putting 4 cars on the road. So I think creating alternative means of transportation, or let me say encouraging people to embrace public transport, and the best way to do that is to make public transport enticing to the people,
safe,
and safe.
Affordable.
Exactly.
But if we're to look at this, one of the strengths that we look at is the near completion of the blue and the red line rail. So if we're going to ride on that,
Sandra, if I don't have any business on the island,
so the rail, Sandra, the rail that we are talking about is in one particular axis.
Exactly.
That's one. Secondly, by the plan in Lagos, there are 4 other rail routes. Redeem Camp to Otta.
Yes.
You understand? So this is still, you have not hit it. The rail plan in Lagos has to be more grandiose than what we have.
Correct.
And we have struggled. And concerns about it is also the affordability. How is it going to function? How is it going to work well? So particularly, he was talking about the number of cars. There are, statistics say there are 2 million cars on Lagos roads. 2 million daily. Now, it's shocking that a state government trying to solve the problem decides to launch its own
its own rights,
and still add it to the
even though you tell me that there's the sharing option, and from the statistics available and the surveys that I have done, at least on that same ride, at least with 10 to 15 lag rides, I've asked them how many people have actually booked your ride and they decided to share. Say it has never happened.
No.
People don't.
No.
Nobody shares. So the state investing money. So when you talk about we having limited resources and you now invest in such a Lagos state government has no business investing in a taxi hailing system when you are trying to reduce the number of cars on the road.
Cars on the road. And if we're also going to be looking at road rehabilitation across the states, okay, so you put cars on the road, and are the roads motorable, or is it something that cars can easily get across? All right, but that is as regards traffic and transport.
But kudos.
You're gonna say kudos?
Kudos for the red and the blue.
It's nearing completion. It is nearing completion.
But the truth again is this. Still talking about the e-hailing. Now I have a car. I choose not to go out with the car, then I still book the same one. Yeah. It's almost like saying,
I'm on the road.
Yeah, I'm still on the road. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And then for the line train, I think last Wednesday or so, I had to go do something at CMS, and then I had to pass that axis, come down to Marina, and I saw the project, and I really appreciate that project. But the truth is this: if I'm staying at Abule Egba, or I'm staying at Yanokpaja, or I want to go from Ikorodu to Agbado Jai, if I don't have any business on the island, I'm not going to enjoy the rail system, the rail alternative they are providing for me.
Okay.
So I think the government needs to be sincere with themselves. We need to, make it as inclusive as it can be.
Thank you very much. I was going to get there because a lot of people with the railroad and the jetties and whatnot, for some people it's increased the cost of living for a lot of people. And then for some people, the local peculiarities, that's one of the threats that I also picked out as regards the traffic management and transportation, is the fact that local peculiarities are being ignored. The rural dwellers also, that's another thing. But one thing I'm going to just take away from all of this is that majority of this particular sector, majority of the promises made have not been fulfilled so far. Okay. That's basically that. So let's move on to the H, health and environment. So over to you, Dr. Damla. Let's look at the SWOT analysis thus far.
Thank you. On health and environment, the government has been able to achieve health insurance. The Lagos State Ilera Eco scheme. We have the telemedicine app, EcoTelemed. We have enforcement of waste bin by Loma. We have 60 units of 24 cubic meter trucks. We have 12 loaders, 30 units of 12 cubic meters trucks that will enhance effective and efficient service delivery across the state. And then Lagos State was able to curtail the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, which was very destructive because Nigeria would have had more serious issues if Lagos State did not support, given the fact that Lagos is the inroad for many people coming from other parts of the world. And then we have ambulance provided to ensure quick and safe movement of patients who were in need of emergencies in the period. And of course, building more health centers at the grassroots and a free health policy for children below 18 years and adults above 65 years. And of course, clearing of drainage systems. That's a strength. So when you look at the weaknesses, we have work of implementation of the draft policy on wetland conservation, protection and management, which is very, very important. Maybe the areas where we have wetlands and things need to be done about that. And then of course, this is a priority on the economic importance of wetlands as a post-environmental importance. It still is more. And then we did in the first years, there's no sustainability plan for it. And so the law of accessibility services makes it not effective, kind of. And then the most of the people they don't understand the insurance scheme itself. So there's a need to educate the people what is insurance. And it's really impacted women and all these people. And then lots of population sometimes in Loma is another thing. Because the concept of waste to wealth is not being adopted, not being a particular economy. And if we can bring in money to the government, increase the IGR, which is not done. And of course, we have shortage of the Loma officials also. Shortage of health practitioners in the state due to brain drain, which of course I know say with the first, but if there's a way government can encourage people, especially the health workers, by giving them better pay, better work environment, make there be more people who want to work in the health sector. And then less attention to formal health care is a weakness of these things. And then of course, there is uncertainty of the effectiveness of the private partner, private partners with the health sector in Lagos State. And we have no clear framework on how the state intends to manage the general issue of climate change. All these things that affect the industrial area. It's very, very important. Exactly. Also, opportunities. Of course, private partnership will ensure the presence of government is set at the local level. That's one of the concepts that I always adore when looking at community development associations, looking at community level, the concept of abolitionism. Making sure that whatever you are doing for the people starts from the grassroots and not at the development process, which is very important. And then quality of the citizens in the ground, to give quality of health care provided for the people, which is very, and that's one of the opportunities that I can provide. And then, of course, this strategy of setting waste to wealth. Of course, that will in turn will advance the economy of the state if it's done. It will increase the IGL. And then prevention of anti-prevention for future infectious diseases is very important. Outbreak through research and development in state health sector. That's an opportunity that I see that Lagos has. But yes, we have lack of proper monitoring and evaluation strategy. When we have proper monitoring and evaluation strategy, programs will fail, schools will eventually collapse. And then the placement is the growing effect of climate change, we can see that. So what are they doing about that? And of course, we have seen impacted water, constituting a movement to government. Yeah, we see that all over. There are people more regulated disposal. Because we see that today, we see that people allow people to use nylon, plastic bags in their market. It's not in India there. They use We usually bag. Nobody uses plastic. We should use them all over. That's the problem. Let's bad policy. So we need better policy environment because look at the correlation between environment and health. It's very, very important. So we use cholera and all the stuff. If we don't take care of the environment, we still have some breakouts in our health. And then we have the primary health centers that must function effectively and efficiently. Very, very important. Because we got primary health care caters for the need of the people at the grassroots. And so what some of these threats, the climate issues, we are some of the threats, and then we have the limitation of manufacturing companies in the state. I think policy can say that they're just best practices. So now they disclose their waste, now they bring out their guys that of course cause pollution in the air. These are some of the things, and we continue to support for us and make oil and gas companies. These are threats I think needs to be addressed. Thank you.
All right, well, that's quite a wrap as regards the health and environment sector. If we look at it, the major part of that, whole H factor is the comprehensive health insurance scheme for the Lagosians to actually, have access and also be able to afford, healthcare. But looking at everything that Dr. Damilola has put forward, especially in the weaknesses, I don't think they've been able to maximize the opportunities that the particular agenda had for Lagosians. So what do you think, Okoyemi?
Well, I'm more particular about the opportunities because the fact that the population in Lagos, it's something else. So it's a little difficult to put all of this together. But for the health, I think I'm more interested in how the Lagos state government should be able to manage the flood situation in the state. It's really something else. The last experience was really terrible. You wake up in the morning, you go to bed, expect that with all of these challenges, there's nobody that wants to govern Lagos that will tell me you don't know the peculiar problems of Lagos. The bigger problem is, this one has nothing whether you're on the island or mainland now. There's flood everywhere. From Ijaye to Makoko, from Apapa to Ikorodu, there's flood everywhere. So I think the Lagos state government needs to work more, especially the point of opportunities now. The private partnership that is, if they truly want to do the waste to wealth thing, they should be genuine about it. They should be intentional about it. If you want to bring in the private into it, give them the opportunity to operate. If you're bringing me into a project, for instance, and you want me to put my money on it, then you should give me an avenue to express what I can do. Not, the government is still going to regulate you, stifle you out of the opportunities or the possibilities that you can bring. So I think the government needs to look inward, look deeply into the opportunities. See, Lagos cannot expand than it is right now, except we move into Ogun or we go and buy land in Osun State as it is now. So we should be able to handle the case of flooding in this Lagos. It's something else.
Okay, if I'm to respond to the case of flooding, is from where we stand at Rethinking Cities, we strongly push for the advocacy for wetland protection in the city of Lagos. There are several estates that have reported to the Lagos state government about encroachment on green belt in the city of Lagos, and they remain unresolved. Where people are being given permit to build on green belts in the city of Lagos. So that strict adherence to the policies of wetland protection has to be there. I'll keep referring to the new bridge at Ojota now that is going on. The bridge is going to be built over this wetland, and in a short time, the green space that is left, you are going to see houses being allocated for housing development. So this mindless allocation of land for housing development by the state government is very, very worrisome, and this is closely related to when you talk about climate change and the natural gutters of Lagos are disappearing. If you look at Lagos, if you fly over Lagos in the 80s and fly over Lagos now, you see a lot of greens around, but they are all disappearing. So we don't have a very strong policy on that protection, all in the name of we want to develop housing. And again, maybe when we get to, sadly, I don't think even the team's agenda actually had anything on housing in itself specifically. So
because the first thing you would think when you hear themes, you think the H would be housing. Yes, but I don't think
is not there.
It's not captured.
It's not captured. It's part of the things that the governor has to talk about, and I think that's the reason why the policy, there is no creative policy or new policy on housing. It's the same lagoons. We build houses, people come and get on this. No. And
low cost
for unknown.
High low cost.
No deliberate. So the team's agenda, if it has to be reworked, the governor has to give us a specific
on housing.
Although during the governorship debate, the governor specifically mentioned the issue of land rights to people who live in urban poor communities. He clearly spoke about that, but nothing was done. He said he will give them their land and allow them to develop over a period of time, but that never came to fruition. So not to take us away. So although the plus there is that there's been a lot of drainage clearing, I think for the first time the budgeting for drainage clearing in Lagos has increased, but the drainage system in itself, the way it has been built, some have been built for many years. Even clearing has not even solved the problem.
And some have structures now over those drainages.
So if you are going to talk about drainages, I'm sorry, but it's just also one of the threats that we've been able to see is issues of waste disposal, because at the end of the day it constitutes what a lot of people will tell you, that Lagos is very dirty, and the truth of the matter is, in a dirty environment, the health is very affected. So that's why both of this work together. So there has to be there was a part of the agenda was working with LOMA to deliver on their mandate as the regulator, while the PSP model will be made to respond better in collection of waste. But
let me respond to that.
Thank you.
Waste management in Lagos and the role of LOMA.
Okay.
Waste management in Lagos is now being turned into a revenue generating exercise in the city of Lagos.
So if you don't pay,
in fact, the so-called PPP arrangement, adopt a bin and all of that, you don't even understand the concept.
No.
While people are being compelled to having to buy, although there is a silence, you are not compelled to buy, but in my own estate,
they don't pick.
In my own estate, we are no longer selling. You have to buy from government. My estate gives a deadline. Say if you
don't buy before a certain date, you have to get from the government.
You have to get from the government, and the government on the other side. So it's a group of people. There are players in the waste management sector in Lagos that are not under your regular PPP arrangements, that are working, that you need to support. There are NGOs, there are private individuals who are picking plastic on the road, doing their thing. What government should do is to put in place a system that supports them. It's not for you to run after informal waste pickers and say they are criminals and they cannot operate. You have work to do. We had to launch a website to say, if you see this informal waste picker in your area, you can ask for his ID number and check online and say, are you supposed to be here? Is this where you work? You can get their data. You don't say people are criminals. You don't criminalize.
It's just an umbrella stereotype, and once you hear you think they are coming to steal in the estate.
Yeah, they can work with the CDS. That's why you have. So when you talk about local peculiarities, the local peculiarities in terms of waste management in Lagos has not been looked at. You cannot have a single bullet to solve the problem. The way waste management will be done on Bodilon is not the same way it's going to be done in Yanokpaja. You understand? Your PSP trucks are not getting there. You understand? You have to look for local solutions to address the problem.
So because if the bigger umbrella cannot work, you can you domesticate it more. I mean, you go to Surulere, for instance, there are a lot of dump sites in Surulere where you go there, you pick it, you come in, you weigh your waste, and they give you some token. Then they sort it out themselves. So I think the government needs to look inward. See, this is the point where the government needs to be humble. You certainly won't be able to do all of these things by yourself. It's not rocket science. So if you know that this option is not, it won't deliver your mandate, allowing, just include other people to make the job easy for you.
So basically, looking at proper monitoring and regulation, evaluation of the waste sector. That's basically what I think we're
local solutions. We don't have to do it in that very fanciful PPP. PSP arrangement,
branded disposable bags.
And in the lifetime of this administration, you've launched about 3 policies in that area. And before adopted bin, there was the blue bin. There was it was the first set of was a purple plastic bag that the governor was giving around. The policies has been quite inconsistent. But it is about you looking at local solutions, how people are trying to manage waste in their communities. How has it worked, and what can we do to encourage them? So local actors, how are they doing it? But I think let's have Dr. Agbala Jobi say something about this before maybe she goes to the next section. I really think she wants to make a comment about this.
Think she wants to make a comment. All right.
Dr. About the local actors when it comes to waste.
No, generally about that
as regards waste management, because it's a part of what we're having conversation here. The fact that we need to they need to focus more on the environment, because at the end of the day, that's affects the health in one way or the other. Yeah. So environment speaking now, or speaking as regards environment now, we have talked so much about waste management, climate change and whatnot. So based on everything that Okoyemi and Deji have said now, what would you say to wrap things up so we can move to education?
It's important for government to work with the local management, and that's where the CDAs will come in. I think it's very important. They can be clearer to the people than the CDAs. And so we can actually use that as a platform, and then everybody wants to keep the environment clean.
Right.
If they can actually keep the help of the CDAs, you will see that people will be more focused and particular about keeping their spaces clean. And not just about the money. Involve the CDAs, because everybody cares about their own community. And so you know that you give them a responsibility. And that's why I just want to talk about the causes of afrocentrism. About adopting, using resources at your disposal, using people within your locality to gather anything you want to do when it comes to development, and starting from I think one of the ways government can achieve when it comes to environmental issues, normal cleanliness, it's better to start with the state. Work with the state. Let the local authorities work with the CDA. And then we see how much everybody will want to cater and ensure that the environment is clean.
All right.
That's my take on that.
Thank you very much. So I think we can all agree that they should make the solution more local. Yes, okay. All right. And more inclusive. Let me put it that way. All right. Moving on now, still on the manifesto review of the themes agenda of the governor of Lagos State as he's running for second term. We're moving on to M now, which is making Lagos a 21st century economy.
I think you okay, is it now? Okay.
I'm with you. Carry on.
Yes, okay.
Carry on, Dr. Damlola.
Okay, thank you. Yes, on health and we talked about health and environment already.
We've moved from health and environment. Now we're on to M, making Lagos a 21st century economy.
Education and technology, I think. Or whichever way you want me to have it.
Education and technology.
Apologies, I jumped education and technology. All right.
Yes, thank you. And so on education and technology, there comes a lot of trend I see. We have the creation of a co-innovation center, and then Lagos State has become a kind of a model for many other states. And for the children of the poor, it's good that they also pay for NECO and WAEC. And of course, the government adopted a way of making sure the best student wins Lagos for one day. This is a very good motivation, and so everybody wants to be that position. So this encourages a lot of people to want to do, a lot of students want to do well. And then because Lagos State encourages their teachers by buying a new car for the best teacher. And so the effort has increasing access to public education by establishing new schools in some communities at the state, and all the issue of having to pay for NECO or WAEC, which is a good one. And then we have the innovation of some dilapidated public schools, at least about 92, over 92 across the state, by the Special Committee on Rehabilitation of Public Schools. And then for proper and conducive learning, that is a very good one. And so we have some training initiatives that have been adopted by Lagos State to improve teaching skills, and the teachers, which is a very good one. And then we have the economy driven by high technology, which is very, very innovative. But then what are the weaknesses? We still have a very strong and a well detailed plan on education. And so with all these ideas, you can imagine if all these things are really well planned. You can imagine what will happen. What method of assessing the impact of innovative schools? What methods are you using to assess all these you could have been innovated? And then if you see Malek and Neko, after sustainable is this to handle the education crisis in local states? Is it sustainable? For how long? And then education of education providers in the process, we don't have a partnership with some education providers, which is very, very important. We can't just run this alone. So we need to create a partnership. And then we see some places where we have dilapidated schools in Lagos State that should be ignored. And then paying school people in medical, are you working in line with maybe in collaboration with parents? So I think we're not paying my school people, already paying for my exam, I don't know that working. If I'm not concentrating and reading to excel or to pass, sometimes it's important to also carry parents along. And that is not because the local state is saying, the students must also still work hard to ensure they excel in their exams. And then we have more attention to the usage of high-tech in major public schools in the state. This is a weakness. And then the critical piece of highly trained teachers is very, very important. And we can't just get highly trained teachers who are not thinking about the pay. The profession to be the most noble profession in any society, because teachers, they're the ones doing about the nurture, and they're the ones who can give what we don't have. So there's something that needs to be done about the pay for teachers. And then we have less of the teachers secondary requirements in most of the public schools. What are we doing about that? Because Lagos State has launched the 5G network in Lagos by NCA, but we have not seen that using development in the other area of the educational sector within the state. So I think that's a difference. What are the opportunities? Of course, there are a lot of opportunities if we advance technology to promote development in the state. And of course, there can be improvement in the school curriculum that will meet the 21st century job needs and the entrepreneurial requirements within the state. If all these things are actually adopted, what are the threats? We took out of school children, a lot of them within Lagos. When you start coming into Lagos, a lot of people don't see all this is about that. Basic education is very, very important. And then we have to increase the lack of access to quality education. We need to access all the provisions that we know. And because Lagos State, out of children in Lagos State, Lagos State is the top state with the highest number in the southwest. So this for me is some of the threat I see. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Damola, because this education is actually something very, very important for us to have this conversation on, especially just as you have mentioned. Lagos State is the third, state, or is the third that has highest number of out of school.
Number one in the southwest.
Very unfortunate.
Wow.
That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, 2 million out of school children.
And they had so many plans. Teacher training, expansion, rehabilitation of schools and whatnot. There's a whole lot of transformation that was supposed to happen in that sector. Also, including some different institutions. So should I say curriculum into the educational programs. But then I'll also look at the technology aspect.
Yeah, so if I may come in, so there was one of the strengths is the establishment also of Eco Excel program. So before Eco Excel, we had Eco Coding. Now we have Eco Excel. But where the challenge always is the fact that what is being done, how do we measure? Don't just tell us what has been done, but tell us the gap that you have filled.
What effect has he brought to the table?
So how many schools do we need renovated? So I just don't want the data on 92. I don't want the government to tell me that we've renovated 92 out of how many. We should get to a stage whereby we are now measuring the growth rate. You understand? Oh, we have moved 5%, we have moved 10%. Because if you do the research on the Co-Excel program, 300 schools were reached out of 1,100 plus. 300 schools actually had the program. So that's 30%. Now, out of that 30%, how many of them effectively engaged with the co-excel program is the question. A friend of mine was in bad. You see semblance of at the gap. What's the gap, and where has this taken us?
Because the ultimate, the end goal of bringing in any initiative is to bring visible change, positive difference. So if we are not achieving that, there is as good as not even having anything on ground.
What we should be demanding from our leaders now is, what is the growth rate? You understand? Don't just tell me.
What was it? What is it now?
Exactly. And where are we
going to? What's the projection?
You get it? So because all these other people that even want to win and want to come into the to become governor, if they win, are you going to do the same commissioning ceremony? We built 1 school, we built 5 schools, we built 10 schools, and they are commissioning. I mean, any dumb person that becomes governor of Lagos State knows that I have to commission.
Exactly.
What are you commissioning? What gap is it? What are you trying to fill? We still have children. I have been to poor communities, and I ask children, they have to trek long distances to get to school,
and they are tired already.
The Okada ban, if you know how much effect it had on education in Lagos, because a lot of kids were actually being put, not like, oh, maybe I support Okada 100%. No. But look at how that policy, because you didn't put another policy in place. School buses, you've not made life easy for these communities to have schools closer to them. And in relations to climate change, do you know how many schools in the city of Lagos has been subsumed by flood and they are no longer in use because they've been flooded? And that is a problem, and this happens mostly in poor communities.
And even the ones that are still here, once rain start, they will tell them that don't come to school for the next 2 weeks. You have to stay at home.
2 weeks. So in the area of education, health, and quite a number of sectors, we have to put in place evaluation. I think that was one of the weaknesses I saw here. And I said no evaluation process. The website of the committee that was created for the renovation of schools, I went to the website and I can count the number of pictures I saw. I thought I would see analysis to say, okay, this number of schools
have been touched. Out of so in Mushin local government, we saw 700, we've touched 120. In Fakojai, we saw 90, we've touched 65.
Yeah,
don't just give me
that is how I can mark you. You understand? So it is not about commissioning schools. Let me see the records. Let me see how we are moving. Then we can now begin to evaluate things and begin to put things in perspective. A partnership with the private sector, with the stakeholders in the exclusion of education providers in the process, is something that the state government needs to look at. And I think I've spoken to quite a number of education providers who also speak to this. There are more private schools in Lagos than public schools.
Yes.
That speaks to the fact that if you're going to do an intervention, you need the support of these private schools in the interim to get, because in 4 years you can't build all the schools that will be necessary for the city of Lagos
to cater to
cater.
Exactly.
Because of time, let us move on.
It's actually very, very important. We've not even been able to touch the technology aspect of that particular sector because we've been seeing the piping or the should we say
the fiber optics cable.
We've been seeing all of that for how many years now? It's
the
still
5G
network.
We are going there. That's why it's continuity.
Well, it has not yielded so much, but then let's see how that would run. Just as
that should provide is an opportunity if such projects are actually implemented.
Yes, so
it gives an opportunity for you to even be able to deliver broadband education in poor and low-income communities. So that is the advantage it has for education.
So let's look at making Lagos a 21st century economy. Dr. Damlola, very, very quickly, SWOT analysis of it.
Like you said, making Lagos a 21st century economy, we have some of the strengths, we have adequate empowerment schemes, and different policies on the diversity of the economy, making Lagos a model of distribution of wealth. Lot of opportunities are available if you get to Lagos. Everybody wants to come to Lagos now. You want to find something, you get something to do. And so there are expanded opportunities for businesses to thrive in the state. And then we have collaborative effort by the government and private sector. For example, providing 6,300 housing units. We have some empowerment initiatives that are keeping youth in diverse sectors across the Lagos State. And then the other part are strengthening security of the state to salvage security crisis, poverty in order to improve the state economy as a state. But what are the weaknesses? We have most indications of access to government services. We have not defined action plan on how we want to create, we want to make Lagos an enabling environment. And then what's very important thing is the fact that Lagos State needs to monitor the casualization of workers. The other way we have the Indians, the Chinese, we have the capability of the people. You know, most of the people are not protected. We have people, cases of stopping people trying to help and learn. We need to have good policy as much as we need to have states to have more people coming from different parts of the world to set up industries. And there are policies in place to monitor these foreigners. When we come, and of course, less attention is still paid to the workers of the rights of places, for part of it. This is supposed to help to advance the economy. What are the opportunities? We have new standard of investment through the Society Trust Fund, the government services more than state. What are the threats? Lack of power supply, insecurity, also a threat. And then all these foreigners, they also need Nigerian security agencies to protect themselves. Even what they are doing in legality, we let them out people. Nigerian security officers are still the ones to protect them, and which is a great problem. And another challenge is that sometimes the epidemic arises again.
All right.
Whenever the civil act, the security and poverty, unemployment and underemployment is still some of the threats we face in Lagos. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Making Lagos a 21st century economy. I'm just going to bring something out, from that particular one. I'll just say one thing, which is the fact that Lagos is the most indebted state, in the country. That's what I'm just going to take out. I'm sorry. That's what I'm going to just take out from that. Yeah. But let's hear what Digi has to say.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't really do so much on the indebtedness.
I know,
because even the big.
I don't expect
you to. But so many things in the 21st century economy all clubbed up together. Security. The trust fund, which is working, but insecurity still remains a very big problem in the city of Lagos. The inability, on one hand, you have the security trust fund that you are running.
Yes.
On the other hand, it seems that you are systematically also embracing and building and encouraging a system of lawlessness, hooliganism, and insecure almost rubber stamping their activities. So, and the increasing rate of the security trust fund boasts of a strength that bank robbery had reduced. There has been no bank robbery in Lagos in the last 2 years, but we've had intense traffic robbery that is probably worse than bank robberies that we have seen. You understand? So many flashpoints of insecurity within the state not being addressed. People challenge the security apparatus. When is NSAS protest, you see well-kitted police officers all over the place, and when flashpoints are reported, there is no police officer there. Yes, so the issue of insecurity, the issue of housing, which I've spoken about, this is totally insufficient. There is no creative idea that has been executed in the area of housing in the city of Lagos. It is just the same of the same. Government needs to start collaborating. Government needs to start collaborating with community-based developers who are not your regular property developers that easily walk into a house and you're able to give them land to develop houses. We need to begin to look at working with cooperative societies in that area.
All right, that's as regards making Lagos a 21st century economy. Whether or not they've been able to get there, but then there have been a lot of factors that probably have not been able to help us to get to that place, because there are a lot of strength, very few opportunities, but then a lot of threats to that particular one. Or we'll see, just as Dr. Damlola, entertainment
places with film institutions, and this is going to take many people out of the street, because we have several businesses that help with enhance the economy and aid in sustaining the economic industry. But of course, in some places, part of the state, we have collaboration with the entertainment industry. They advance the creative sector by ensuring adequate monitoring, enforcement, and censoring of film production, marketing, and distribution across the state. But what are the weaknesses? Yes, proper engagement of the entertainment sector sometimes, and some places we have a exclusion of entertainment unions of the process. Also, we have some inhuman system by some police officials in the state, and we have some deficiency in infrastructure facilities in the part of the state that attracting less local and entertainment tourists. And then we have the most cultural monopolization of the entertainment industry. And this is a growth of local talent, and of course, we have this security and poverty, and then peace of inflation. And that's the summary. Thank you.
All right. Just very quickly now, Adeji, let's wrap things up as regards that particular one.
Well, regarding entertainment and tourism, I'll speak because of time. Let me speak to doing the industry activities of youth groups. We need more of those activities. So cool. But communities to see a state government that is supporting street carnivals.
Yeah,
make it happen. That's what I would say. It's been an interest for making this possible. Global Leadership Development Forum. Thank you so much, GLDF, and political change in African cities next week.
The manifesto of the PDP.
Tell him.
So we can commit. All right. Thank you very much.